Is it working out?
Hi, Manny.
Okay.
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. This is Manny and my first time trying this. So sorry if there's any bumps along the way. But so just to introduce this series, I'll introduce myself first. I'm Katya, and I went to John Bros Middle School in 2002. That's where I joined SRLA. Grew up in LA, went to John Bros Middle School, then went to Hamilton High School, stayed in LA for college. I went to UCLA, and now I'm a professional runner, actually, professional marathoner. So obviously I like the running aspect of SRLA, but even more than that, what has always stayed with me since my time there was kind of how it helped me and my friends navigate the public school system and set us up to have success both in high school, college, and in our careers later on. I had a lot of friends that really struggled with the public school system and various challenges that come along with that. And I think SRLA really helped us overcome those. So that's kind of what has inspired this monthly speaker series. Different alumni that have had a similar experience to me and found that SRLA really helped them find success in life. And we'll try to highlight how SRLA has helped different people and maybe hopefully answer any questions that current students might have on how to continue, either face challenges in high school or continue on to college or even beyond that. So our first guest, thanks for coming, Manny, is Manny Pulido. So why don't you start us off just by telling us a bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you met SRLA, just the beginnings.
So I started SRLA in 1994. How I got into this was a flyer on the wall that said they were giving free shoes. And I attended the meeting and at Roosevelt High School. And there was this older...
So for people that don't know, where is Roosevelt High School?
In Boyle Heights, in LA, East LA.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
okay.
I went to Roosevelt High School, and I first met Harry Shabazian, the founder of it, one of the founders of SRLA, that evening. Now I went for the free shoes, and I ended up joining the program. So Roosevelt didn't have a group back then, so I would run through Harry's group at Boyle Heights. At the time, there was about 120 of us running through Boyle Heights High School. And I did my first marathon in 1995, and I did it for 8 years straight through college, even through when I first got.
Oh, wow.
And then I took a year off, and then we came back and ran the 20th anniversary marathon. And I also did a couple Mexico City marathons through SRLA, and I ran the San Francisco marathon on my own. So I wanted to be a professional runner like you, but I got bad knees and I had to retire a little earlier.
So you actually didn't go to the high school where the SRLA program was. You went to a different school.
Harry used to invite everybody from Roosevelt to his school.
Cool.
Years later, they started a group at Roosevelt after I left. And then
okay.
I graduated from Roosevelt, went to Cal State Northridge. I was in film production. Graduated in 2002. Did TV producing for a couple of years before, since I got married young, I was like, this is a little too much. I was working 20 hours a day in news, and I went back to school for accounting, and I've been in internal audit accounting for the last 15 years.
Cool. So did you so before I ask any more questions, if anyone, especially the students, but really any of our guests have any questions for Manny, please add them in the comment and we'll answer any questions, any advice as well. It seems like you've done a lot, so I'm sure you have great advice.
Yeah. One of the first questions I see on here was how many years? I'm still with SRLA. I'm not running, but I'm out there with SRLA Cares with Harry and Abel and the rest of the gang. We're out there cheering on the runners. This year was a little strange because of COVID, but I actually decided to kind of start training again, and I did a marathon with Harry in March.
Oh, wow.
We didn't run that hard, but we completed the 26 miles, and it was a memory what we used to do.
Are you still connected at all to the Boyle Heights program or Roosevelt programs?
No, Harry's one of my best friends. Like outside being my trainer, we became really close. I mean, we talk, a couple of times a week just to see how's it going, because he retired about 10 years ago. But since he's still affiliated with SRLA, I'm like part of his independent group that goes out and helps.
Cool. So did you join SRLA your freshman year of high school?
Back then, I was the first class that had middle school 9th grade. So I started my sophomore year in high school, and that's when I joined. And a funny story was the year before I saw the marathon coverage, and I told one of my best friends, I go, "Hey, I'm going to do the marathon next year." And he goes, "Oh, you're crazy." And somehow, some way, this fell into my lap through a flyer that said they're giving out free shoes.
So you didn't even know about SRLA when you decided to do the marathon. Wow.
All team, and I got injured, and I was just trying to find something to do. And like I said, one of my friends goes, "Hey, they're giving free shoes." So I like literally a week later, with Harry, and me and Harry have been ever since.
I think the free shoes definitely pulled a lot of us in. That's a good memory I have as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a roller coaster ride because being close to Harry, he would do a lot of things for me. Like literally, like if something came up, he would call me if I was interested. In 96 marathon, he called me and he goes, "Are you interested in doing a commercial for the LA Marathon?" Sure. So they came to my house. We did the commercial. It was airing for like 2 months, and it would air like 3 times an hour. So no matter where, you look familiar. You're the guy from the commercial. So
yeah.
Did that. Also on 96, he called me. He goes, "Hey, they want to send a couple of kids to Mexico City. Are you interested?" And we went and did the Mexico City Marathon. Back in right before our senior year. This was when I forgot the guy's name. Another person was leading the LA Marathon, and they were trying to do this every year. And that was the only year they did it before he sold the marathon. So, yeah, stuff like that. I mean, not on top of all running the marathon, I also climbed Mount Whitney with Harry. The highest mountain in the U.S. So Harry became like my older brother.
That's wonderful. And then Harry was the leader at Boyle Heights, right? So for everyone who's tuning in, Harry Shabazian was also the founder of Students Run LA. And so he was like this mentor figure to a lot of students at both Roosevelt and Boyle Heights. That's quite amazing. So he took all of you guys kind of under his wing. Yeah.
And then I started recruiting for him. A lot of my close friends came into the group. Abel R, who's like I brought him into the program, who's now one of the senior whatever he is coordinator.
Yeah.
That's my fault, Cassidy. Sorry. So Abel's been around since, and a couple other friends that one of them's a PhD. He's out in Idaho, nuclear physicist. All those guys I brought in, and they are still part of my circle of friends, which is one of the main things I took back from this program. Those friendships we developed within the program, and we still stay in contact. We'll see how we're doing. Still call me crazy because I went back to do the marathon again. So.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love to hear about people that went back and did it.
Yeah.
So when you were at Roosevelt High School, like, did you know from like day one that you wanted to go to college, or is that something you learned along the way, or how did that idea? I'm guessing, I don't know about your high school, like my high school, not many people went to college. So it wasn't like, I know that some of my friends definitely used SRLA as a stepping stone to go to college. What was your
I
what was your story with that?
had an older sister who's like 5 years older than me, who graduated from high school and went to college. So she was like the first, like this is the correct path. Because when I was growing up, the five closest friends I had, they all and four of them ended up being in gangs, and three of them were either killed or have died since then. So kind of stayed away from that, even though I was close to them. Said hi, I still said I fell into SRLA, and that I can honestly say that kind of kept me going in the right direction because I made new friends, friends that had the same goals, friends that wanted to succeed in life. So that kind of was the actual thing that just kept me away from the other friends I had. Um, you know, it's sad that I lost three friends so young, but I'm also kind of glad that SRLA took me away from any opportunity to be a gang member or be any of that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's awful. I'm sorry. Um, but so like you kind of went into high school, even though maybe it was uncommon having seen your sister go into college. So were you quite motivated to go to college yourself?
I was motivated. I didn't know what I wanted to do. It's
Okay.
where you're like, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer. Um, I wanted to go into computer science, but then I took NASA classes and I got like, I don't really want to be doing math for the rest of my life. Um,
Yeah.
and then it's funny because, again, through SRLA, when I did the commercial, I kind of got interested in the whole production aspect of
Hmm.
behind the scenes. I remember one of the things I remember the most. I'm actually in the room where I filmed the commercial, which is at my dad's house. Um, I was here, and the camera crew showed up, and there was a caterer outside. They actually had a food truck, and go out and goes like, "Hey, can I grab something?" He's like, "You're the star. You can do whatever you want."
Yeah.
Environment was very appealing to me. I go like, "Hey, this is something I might want to do in the future." So that's how I went to Cal State Northridge. They had one of the better film schools back then, and went straight into film. Uh, and so, yeah, I was driven to go to college because I knew that would be beneficial. But the marathon program showed me that I should never give up. Train hard, work hard, do the time, and you'll get rewarded. And whenever you're down, just remember, never give up. And
Yeah.
that was my life. I got married while I was in junior in college, and I still kept going. That didn't stop me from graduating. Um, so yeah, I mean, the marathon was literally helped me uh, through college and into my career.
Was Cal State Northridge, since it had a good film school, was that the only school you were looking at, or did you?
I
I know some people that are juniors or seniors might be looking at their options. Did you also look at other schools?
I wanted to transfer to USC, and I heard that was a good
Mm.
school, but I kind of got discouraged when they said that it's very controlled back then of who gets in to the film school. So I decided to
Hmm.
Northridge and say, I'm in. I'll get the degree. I'll see
Nice.
it. One thing this is for the seniors. If you do want to go into the film school, make as many contacts as you can while you're in school. Put yourself out there. Get internships, even if it's unpaid. I kind of went and got a regular job just to get by. I didn't put myself out there in the film industry. And that's something that I recommend to anybody going into college. Try to get an internship on what you plan to do. Just get your foot in the door. Even as an assistant, go there and get people their coffee. That's literally a start in the film industry.
Yeah. And so when you went to Northridge, did you move? Did you go live near Northridge, or you commuted from home?
So the first year I lived there, and I didn't choose my roommates wisely. They were, they were first time they came out of the house and they partied all day. So it wasn't a great experience the first year. I got through it because my sister graduated from North, used to live across the street.
Oh, great.
she used to live across the street, so I would go spend the evenings with her so I could get away from my own apartment. I decided to commute the last 4 years, and not really a good idea if you want to get internships. And but
That's true.
it was an hour commute every day. Back then, traffic wasn't as bad, so I did it for 4 years, and luckily it worked out.
Yeah, but maybe it helped you stay more focused, even though, like, I don't know, it's a give and take, right? Because it sounds like your roommates weren't so helpful to succeeding in college.
Mm,
So I don't know, you have to, I get what you're saying about the internships, though. That sounds really tough.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
if you're commuting a long way, then it's tough to get internships.
yeah. And then I know my senior year when I finally started, putting my head together about I have to do something in film to get forward. Harry told me, I have a friend who's been doing film forever. Why didn't you ever ask me? So
Oh, that's so funny.
I went with him, and
That's a great lesson, though, right? Because you never know who's going to know someone, and it's always good to check in with everyone.
we got a question, and you want to do this question.
You did.
What advice would you give students who need to make money during college? Honestly, depending on what school you go to, this is my strongest advice because I'm in finance. As long as the loans are not exaggerated, I would focus on school before focusing on working. If you had to work, don't work more than 8 to 10 hours a week. Just do enough to get by while you're in college, because first of all, it's like most people that start making money end up focusing more on that than on their education. So I would just advise, if make enough to get by, don't make enough to live off. I mean, everybody's situation is different. The people that have to work and maintain their families or help their families out, I understand that. Um, but I would just strongly recommend try to work as less as you can just to get by. And if the loans are not exaggerated, if you go to a Cal State, it's only a couple of $1,000s a year. You don't have to pay those back until after you start your career. If you go to a UC, it gets a little bit more complicated because it's a lot more expensive to go to a UC. So in that situation, I would try to go get some scholarships. Focus on getting scholarships rather than focus on working. Everybody's situation is different, but I know you work hard enough, you'll be able to get by. Because once you get by, you graduate college, a lot of doors are going to open for you. That would be my strongest advice for as far as making money during college. I mean, did you have a similar situation or?
Um, so I agree with you. I think a few things, like one thing that I would recommend too is to look at the community college route. Even if you want to go to a UC, it's a great option to lower costs of college. You can do 2 years at a community college and transfer in to a UC. So I agree with you on, like, depending on what you want to do, trying to keep the cost of college as low as possible. And then when you're in school, I mean, this is a very difficult question to answer because, like you said, some people are in very difficult situations where they might have to work to get by, and that is very difficult. But I would recommend to try to. I personally had a scholarship, and between my scholarship and working, like you said, just a minimum amount of hours and some help from my family, I managed to get by. So I think every story is different. Definitely look into also financial aid options if you need them. Anything that can offset the cost of college. It's very difficult. I don't know, did you have to work while you were at Northridge, or were you able to get by?
Work. I take out some loans, not big loans, but I had a what we call work study. So I would work like 6 to 12 hours a week, and in the summer they would give me full time work. I didn't need to work, but it kept me busy and made a lot of lifelong friends along the way. But you touched on a good point, the whole community college thing. It's the system now, because my daughter is taking college courses while she's in high school. Their system now gives you an outline of exactly what general ed to take at college that transfer into a UC or to a Cal State. And you will save a lot of money that way. The first couple of years of college, you're still kind of trying to figure out what you want to do. Even if you know you're going to want to be a computer science major or a film major, getting that community college, that general education out of the way beforehand, is financially, it's probably one of the better things you could do.
Yeah. I went to community college for like 1 year, and I really loved it, and I thought it set me up really well to go to a UC, and taught me a lot of the things that you have touched upon about like hard work and knowing what I want and all these things. So I'm a big supporter of the community college route, and just for anyone that might be interested in it, I was a math major at UCLA, and many of the best students in our classes actually went the community college route. So it's very interesting in that way. I think sometimes you might think that like in order to succeed out of high school, you have to go to a 4-year right away, but that's definitely not true. Just find what works for you, and if finances are a problem and you're having trouble with loans or financial aid or anything like that, I would definitely think about going through a community college.
And then like the end part of me, I mean, I got my film degree. I couldn't find a job in the industry, so I started working for a nonprofit organization. And through there, as it came out to film during our events, I dropped my resume. I became a TV producer for a Spanish network. Luckily, I spoke Spanish. I did that for about 1.5 years before my wife goes, "Hey, you need to get a real job." The industry, my experience in the industry was kind of not the greatest. It was kind of a really weird industry to work in. So I kind of made the decision to go back to school, and that route, I went to adult school. And I took accounting classes. Luckily, I was taught by a CPA, and I fell into this current position. I work for Turner Construction now. I'm an internal auditor, and my job requires me to travel around the country, actually around the world, auditing construction projects around the world. So I'm actually more away from home now. Well, my wife wanted me to be home, but my kids are older. It works out a little bit better. That's one of the things I love about my job. I get to eat for free, stay for free, get trips for free around the country, around the world. I've been to Europe. I've been to Mexico, Canada. I mean, that's one of the cool things about my job. I know some people go numbers, accounting. That's not really any fun. I'm in there making sure that our accountants are doing a good job. It's kind of every job becomes an investigation. I see it like I'm not looking for something bad, but if I find something bad, it becomes fun.
Yeah. So what made you decide to go back into accounting of all things? Like, I understand you wanted a new job, but why that one?
I was always good with math since I was a kid. In 11th grade, I passed the calculus exam. And that's when I kind of dropped out of wanting to go into engineering, because I was like, this isn't numbers anymore. So I've always been fascinated. Algebra, okay. When it's calculus, I'm like, this ain't for me. So with numbers, I mean, accounting is literally adding and subtracting numbers with there's a format to accounting and how to report stuff. If you learn that, and you learn the hardest thing to learn, you do okay.
Cool. So you work with Turner Construction, you said, or
Turner
is that what they're called? And you help them make sure that their finances are in order.
We're getting paid. We're paying who we're supposed to pay on time. We've done the Ram Stadium. That was one of our projects, the LA Ram Stadium. We did the Wilshire.
Oh, cool.
The tallest building in LA right now. We did that. Around the world, we did the tallest building in the world in Dubai. They're all big construction projects, a lot of stadiums. And one of the things I really enjoyed, I get to tour the projects before it opens. So I was walking around the Ram Stadium. It actually goes 4 stories underground. And I was exploring down there. I was on the 50-yard line before the grass was in. I mean, I couldn't post any pictures. we had a
Everyone's gonna want to be an accountant now after hearing that.
you know, yeah, I mean,
But I really I like the idea a lot that like it doesn't matter what your degree is. I mean, you want to go and maybe it sounds like you went to Northridge and you pursued something that you thought was interesting, and that's definitely good. And then after college, you continued that. But for everyone to know that if you change your interest, you can still go back and change your career and find a new path. And it sounds like all the steps along the way that you took, like even getting a degree or even running in the marathon, set you up to be successful at your current job.
yep, definitely, definitely. The first 6 or 7 years while working for Turner, I didn't have the nicest of supervisors, and they were jealous of me because I was good at what I did. People don't like good workers for some odd reason. And people at the top were noticing my talent. And when time came, they're the ones who took me along. And now I have the greatest boss, great supervisor. I mean, it's fun. Like my job, I love going to work and I love being with the people. They become like my family. I guess that's one of the things about me. Once I become friendly, you become my brother, you become my sister, because we travel together or whatnot, or we spend time together. And it keeps me sane while I'm away from my family when I go traveling with them.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to have these people around us. But yeah.
And it sounds like another lesson that I'm hearing throughout your interview is that you've found like mentors or supervisors or people that you really like, and you keep them in your corner. And I think that is so important. Like whether it be in high school and you have a great Srla leader, to stay in contact with them, or in college, like finding a professor that you like and forming that bond, or later finding a boss, like you said, at your job. It seems like you're really good at making those links and finding that support system.
Yeah, it's been a good ride. Life is a good ride. But when you have those principles of Srla and never give up, and that support group, always remember your leaders are there for free to help you along the journey. They put so many hours caring for you. Always see that they're out there on their own time, wanting you to succeed. 20 years down the road, they want you to pick up the phone and say hi, say thank you for giving me this experience. Me and Harry's a little different. We make fun of each other here and there, but I'm allowed to now.
Yeah.
He's like, there are days.
But it's so wonderful. So it's been like 25 years now that you still have that connection to your Srla leader. I mean, that's an amazing thing.
Told me my friendship card expired because it was only good for 25 years. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and are you still friends with any of the kids that were at your high school running with you?
Abel was the coordinator. A couple other friends up north. Basically, I think I have about 15 friends on Facebook that ran the marathon with me back then. We talk every now and then. It's like I said, they were like my distant family. We kind of, one of the guys I met through the marathon became my best man at my wedding. He lives in North. We keep touch. Everything's going. He was actually a gang member, and this program, turned around. I like to say I take credit for some of that as well because I became his friend, kind of pulled him away too. But yeah, I mean,
it's all back to those connections, right? And that support system.
Yeah.
So finding people that you look out for and that they look out for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, is there anything else you'd like to add that we didn't touch upon? I mean,
I mean, I don't mind if my email gets out there to kids if they ever have any questions. Sometimes they'll go, hey, if I need a job, I go, I can't guarantee you a job, but I can tell you how to go about it. Because everything's different nowadays through HR, but I could help, kids that want to go into the industry. Film, I still have contacts from when I was young. Everybody asks me because I still write movies and sitcoms on my own, just on my own time. I like to just keep busy and create stuff. Haven't sold anything yet, but I had to have
It's coming. It's coming.
scripts stolen by people, but that's the nature of that business that I didn't like.
Can help any further personal questions or private questions you might have for him. Okay, well, thanks so much for joining us, Manny, for being our first guest.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
Help out with
and for everyone else, we hope to be back next month with another alumni.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
All right. Take care.
Bye.